Every day I'm seeing headlines about tech layoffs.
Tech industry continues to slash jobs as companies look to tighten spending and invest more in artificial intelligence.
Tech industry continued its wave of layoffs.
Tech companies with hundreds of people set to lose their jobs.
Layoffs in February were fueled by Department of Government Efficiency's cuts.
Elon Musk shutting down entire government agencies.
Overnight, a stark message from Elon Musk insisting the U.S. needs to get rid of entire government agencies.
And people asking me consistently if GovTech jobs are even worth pursuing anymore. After working over 15 years in the industry and helping hundreds of people break into tech, I understand the concern. The headlines are scary and it might seem like the entire GovTech industry is crumbling, but what people don't realize is that the industry is currently going through a complete overhaul right now. The US government is quietly going through the biggest tech transformation in history, despite what you might be seeing on the news right now. So if you're wondering if GovTech is dead, this might be the most important video that you watch this year. There have been many layoffs in the tech industry over the past few years, and now it is hitting the GovTech industry as well. I understand that you see all of these changes that are happening very rapidly, but there is an untapped industry that has not been touched at all, which I'll talk about later on in this video. Over the past year, different companies like Tesla and Dell and Amazon have all been ordering their workers to return to office. This is something that has now made it over to the GovTech industry as well. But the biggest difference with this is that these changes are coming primarily to the federal government employees. Most government contractors, depending on the work that they're doing, will remain unaffected. The craziest part about all of this is that the federal government doesn't even have enough office space to mandate everybody back into the office. On the first day of the return to office order, there were over 17,000 people showing up to work in the DC Navy Yard to go back to work, but there weren't enough parking spots.
Well, this really all boils down to about 17,000 people who work here at Navy Yard and only about 4,500 parking spaces available.
So this is what happens when you have only 5,000 parking spots and over 15,000 employees looking to return to office. Another thing that a lot of people don't realize is a lot of federal government employees never had an office desk to begin with. So having all of these employees return back to office has been causing a lot of issues for the federal government. It's been causing so many issues that they have even started recommending that people take the bus or use the metro to commute into work because there aren't enough parking spaces. This obviously will not last. Even though things are scary right now, you still can land jobs in tech and GovTech if you know the right companies to look for and the right roles to look for as well. In fact, just last week, I helped 4 different people land mission critical GovTech roles, even though all of these crazy headlines are happening. The thing that all of these people that landed jobs have in common is that they did not let the headlines get to them. They continue to apply to jobs and they continue to focus on mission critical GovTech roles, which is something that I've been teaching my students forever now. If you aren't familiar with what mission critical is in terms of how the government views it, mission critical work or mission critical programs is any program that supports the DOD or intelligence community agencies. And all of this work is super important. It helps our nation's security. So the United States cannot go without mission critical programs and mission critical work being done. So there are always opportunities for government contractors and federal government employees to do mission critical work. If you actually pay attention to the headline, there are new mission critical contracts that the government is awarding every single day. Anduril was just awarded over a $600 million mission critical contract supporting the Marine Corps. Vector just landed a $100 million contract for aviation support for the FBI. And if you've heard about the VA and all of the contracts that were canceled there, the only contracts that were untouched were mission critical contracts. So if you focus on landing mission critical GovTech roles, these will be unaffected always. I've worked mission critical GovTech roles my entire career and have never been affected by any contract being canceled, any work being stopped. That does not happen with mission critical work because remember, this work needs to be done for the United States to be safe. One thing that I definitely can't sugarcoat is that I do believe that remote work is dead, and I do believe that people have to get this idea out of their head that if you're working 100% remote role, that your job is safe. As you can see, we have many different companies that are utilizing return to work orders as a way to easily lay off people without having to pay them severance. If you look at any of the major big tech companies, they have already done return to work orders, and most people are either working a hybrid schedule or they're 100% in the office. So if you are really factuated on remote work, you might want to think about that and just take into account that you might be putting yourself at risk to being laid off in the future. It's time for people to start becoming okay with going back into the office at least 3 days a week. I know myself, I'm looking for roles that are in office completely or they're hybrid, because again, mission critical work cannot be done remotely from home. You cannot access classified information remotely. So there's no way that your role is mission critical if you're working 100% remote. So always keep that in mind. But the best thing about working in this industry is that a lot of these different companies, whether they're government contractor companies or the federal government, they will pay for your relocation. So if you find a job opportunity that's in a different area that you're willing to move to, they pay relocation bonuses anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000. So don't ever let location be a factor that's stopping you from getting your dream tech job. I've also worked mission critical GovTech jobs overseas, and that hasn't stopped me at all. The company paid for everything. They paid for my relocation, they paid for my flight, and they paid for all of my living while I was overseas. So definitely think about this option in the future as well. Now let me give you some advice so that way you can get into a mission critical GovTech role and you can thrive in this industry over the next few years. First thing that you need to do, I've talked about this many times before, but you have to get your tech certifications. The reason why I always talk about these tech certifications is because the DOD has a baseline set of certifications called the DOD 8570 baseline certifications, which has now been turned into 8140, but we're not going to go too deep into that. It's all the same thing. It's just skills-based tech hiring. But there are a number of different tech certifications that you can get that the DOD absolutely requires you to have to be DOD qualified and work on these mission critical contracts. That first certification that you need to get is the CompTIA Security Plus certification. This is going to allow you to have full access to government systems. So if you don't have the Security Plus, that's the first certification you need to put on your list. Once you're looking to advance further in your GovTech career, if you're interested in cybersecurity, there's also the CompTIA CYSA Plus, and there's also the CompTIA CASP certification, which is a more advanced and practical cybersecurity certification. And if you're interested in management in any sort of fashion, you definitely should take a look at the CISM certification. The CISM is a certification that combines cybersecurity management and project management in one. If you're more technical, the CISSP is a great certification for you to look at. You do need at least 5 years of experience to get the CISSP, but this certification is the golden ticket to making over $250,000 a year in mission critical GovTech roles. So once you finally get these certifications, you want to start applying for jobs that sponsor you for a government security clearance if you don't have one. The government security clearance is the second major piece to becoming mission critical in GovTech. So once you get your government security clearance and you get your tech certifications and you combine that with the experience that you get on the job, it's impossible for you to lose. And with everything happening right now, some people might be saying like, GovTech is definitely not where I want to be at, but you're not out of the woods in the regular tech industries. Meta is currently building an AI that is capable enough to replace a software engineer level 2.
This year, probably in 2025, we at Meta, as well as the other companies that are basically working on this, are going to have an AI that can effectively be a sort of mid-level engineer that you have at your company that can write code.
So if you are somebody that was looking to get into entry-level roles in the traditional tech industries, trust me, these roles are drying up. If you go look onto any of the job boards, you will see there are very little entry-level roles. So you want to make sure that you get into an industry that still requires humans to actually do the work, which is what GovTech does. With GovTech, you have to have US citizens, you have to have people that have government security clearances, and you need to have technical talent that have the right certifications as well. So is GovTech dead? Absolutely not. We might be entering into what's considered the golden age of GovTech careers. If you want to help our country win this tech race and you want to get a recession-proof tech career while doing it, you need to understand how to navigate the GovTech hiring process. That's exactly why I created my GovTech Blueprint community, where I teach you step by step on exactly what you need to do to land a mission-critical GovTech role. Every week I talk about which government contractor companies and which government agencies are hiring for mission-critical GovTech roles. I drop a list of 10+ roles per week that are sponsoring government security clearances. I break down exactly which certifications you need, how to get them, and the resources for you to study for these certifications, and how you can land these roles even if you're just starting out with no experience whatsoever. The global tech race isn't slowing down, and we need mission-critical GovTech professionals to push America forward. Click the link below to join, and I'll see you inside. And make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more of my videos, so you stay up to date with everything happening in GovTech.